Hi everybody. So I'm sure you recognise these. I mean, they're iconic, aren't they? And they litter the US and Australia, and for very good reason. They are simple, they're effective, they're robust, they're cheap, and they can be made from a huge range of materials. But for some reason, we seem to think that this is the only thing that qualifies as a windmill. Now, I think it's because we've made efficiency the god. I mean, it's sure, these are more efficient, but there are other criteria that we need to think about when we're building our own windmills, our own wind turbines. If you happen to have a couple of $100 million and an 80-metre tower, bung one of these in. But if you don't, and you're looking for a way to do something, then I would say you couldn't do any worse than these iconic windmills that have been around for a very long time. There's only one thing you really need to do, and that is abandon the idea that efficiency is the only thing you must be looking at. In my mind, you must be looking at lots of things. I mean, efficiency is great if you can afford it, but not so good if you're wanting to do something else all by yourself. Now, of course, these things weren't originally wind turbines for electricity generation. They were, in fact, pumps, and I'm sure lots of people know that, but they were a way of directly pumping water from the ground.
And this is the arrangement that they used to do that. So, big question. What does link look like? Because the shaft has a link to the rod and the pump, but what is that link? Of course, there are lots of candidates for a mechanism that can do that, and you're thinking of things like crankshafts, really, a crank and bevel gears, that sort of thing. But it does defeat the purpose a little bit in that there's far more engineering involved in those than perhaps you want. A really good mechanism for doing exactly that job in a really easy way to make is this. It's a Scotch yoke. You'll find this actually in things like your jigsaw. And what it does is it takes a rotation, in this case from the windmill, and turns it into a linear which we would send to the pump. So if I rotate my windmill, there we go. It is now directly converted into linear motion. So that's an awesome mechanism for us to be looking at, and of course that's exactly what I'm looking at. So I turned to Tinkercad and came up with this. So you might have seen this before. Well, you have seen this before, you might recognize it from seeing it before, but because we used this for the weight-driven turbine, we have here in salmon the base unit, and there in light blue we've got the drive mechanism. You'll see that the light blue has a circle with a pin on it, and that is the bit that's going to drive the Scotch yoke, which is the red section here. That's the framework for the yoke, and that's the slide for the yoke. So that pin in the blue will sit here, drive it up and down, and that will translate the rotary motion to the linear motion that we're looking for. So now what we really need to do is print these bits off and stick them together. That's the frame put together, and what we're using is a couple of 8mm bars right there, and they're free to slide, keeping everything nice and straight. This bit goes in there like that, and of course it's in this whole arrangement, and we just put that on there and fix it down. There it is put together. Now I'm going to put this on it, not for any reason, it's only because it's what I have around. You could use a vertical wind turbine or a horizontal wind turbine to do exactly the same thing. So we'll pop that on it, and then we need to get a bit of air on there. What we're going to use as an air source is this hairdryer, because we're having a beautiful day, so no wind, so we'll turn this on. Okay, that's very cool. So you should have seen that going up and down. Now remember, this gear has a 20-to-1 ratio, so that moves 1/20th the rate of this, but it also has 20 times the force that's being applied here. You would connect this straight to your pump. So that is the mysterious link that was in the photograph, and something like that could be used, like I say, for direct pumping. Just connect it straight to your pump. But it can also be used for things like compression. You could connect that straight to a piston compressor. And more interestingly, you see windsaws where the saw itself would just be connected to that, and that reciprocating action was used to cut wood. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want these files, the link is in the description, and please do remember to like and subscribe.